Okay, I don't see the presentation. It's not sharing yet. Okay, well, we'll want to wait a minute before we share it. We'll just talk. So good morning, welcome back everybody. We're going to go ahead and start again with our presentation. Now we're moving into information about life and lifestyle and how all of that works. But first, for those of you who weren't able to join us for the first segment of it, we had some technical difficulties. And so we're going to try to make it possible to get at least the slide presentations, and we'll make those available to Ken or in the handouts so that you can get those. But we'll try to work in the future to do something where you can get that information, because it really helped to lay a foundation of what medical missionary work is, and why is it important. And the gist of it is that we're told that it's a work for all of us. It's not just specific people, but it's all of our work. And it goes hand in hand with Christianity. You can't be a Christian without medical missionary work, because that's a part of showing love, helping, giving, caring. And so that's in short of what we kind of shared this morning. So we're going to move into the second part of what we have, and the foundation. We're going to lay the foundation of healthy living and lifestyles, and to know what those are. And we'll pull up the presentation. The presentation with that. One thing that we learned this morning is that God's work is not about quick work. You know, it's not about the quick fix. It's not about the magic pill. It's not about any of those things. It's about learning to change your lifestyle. So medical missionary work is not about all of those things. It's not about even magic herbs. Y'all heard that? It's not even about magic herbs. It's about a change in your lifestyle. It's about promoting a lifestyle of healthy practices that will help you avoid, and by chance, if it comes to you, make it through sickness and disease. That's what medical missionary work is. That's what our lifestyle work is. So in John 3 John 1 verse 2, the Apostle Paul tells us, and he's expressing what the Lord has for us and means for us. He says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that thou would prosper and be in good health," right? But what is God's purpose for us when you hear that? It's that. Do you ever think about that when you're going about your daily life? If you're ever feeling sick or anything, God says that he wants us to prosper and be in good health. That's a promise that you can claim. It was said by the Apostle John, but he was repeating things that he had heard from the Lord, right? Here is something that should be our prayer in Psalms 67, 1 and 2. God be merciful unto us and bless us and cause his face to shine upon us, that thy way may be known upon the earth, thy saving health among all nations. That needs to be our prayer. God wants his saving health to be upon us and all nations. And this is about our work. This is what our work is about. There's a battle for us, even concerning our lifestyle. I mean, we know about our soul, but did you know that there's a battle going on for you about your lifestyle? It's kind of communicated here in John 10:10. It says, "The thief cometh not but to steal and to kill and to destroy." Have y'all ever looked at that text before as it relates to diet and lifestyle? Because usually we think about spiritually, the enemy has come to kill, steal, and destroy. This is now, we're talking about lifestyle. He comes to kill, steal, and destroy. But God says, I am come that you may have life and that you might have it more abundantly. Praise God. This is the kind of God that we serve. It's a battle that we need help with. And so here in Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against powers and against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness on high places. So when you're craving things that your body doesn't need, you need to realize that you're not in this battle on your own. It's other influences coming in. I've been going through that strong lately. When you're craving sugar, if you're craving meat, if you're craving dairy, all of these things do harm to your body. And no matter how much the world will tell you that there are good things about them, yes, there are some good things about them. Yes, you can get protein from meat and dairy. Yes, you can get these different things, but they bring death with them too, because it's a whole array of other things that they're not telling us. And so we need to be aware of that. We have an obligation as Christians to live a particular lifestyle. And this is something that a lot of us don't want to hear. But not only just as Christians to treat other people nicely and to do these different things, we have an obligation to live a lifestyle, because God says that, what? Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own. We can't live our lives like our bodies are our own. We can't keep putting anything in our bodies and living any kind of way, staying up all night, drinking, not, all of these different things. It's not our prerogative to do that, because we have taken on the name of Christ, right? And we have an obligation to treat our temples in a particular way. So I'm going to take you on a quick little journey. I'm going to do the first half of it, and she's going to do the next part of it. And I'm responsible for these things. We're going to share with you the foundation, and then we know it. Many of you already know New Start, right? New Start and what that means. It talks about nutrition is the N, exercise is the E, water is the W, S is for sun, T is from temperance, A is for air, and then T is for trust, right? So I'm going to try to bring you through, and when I'm talking about these things, I want you to kind of visualize how this works. Did I skip the R? Rest, I'm sorry. R is for rest, T is for trust. So as we talk about this, I want you to think about the body as a whole thing as the body. And God has made different things to work particular ways. So when you think about nutrition, I want you to think about say that you had components in your body that needs to work, but they need parts to work properly. And so nutrition are those parts that your body needs. So just think about that when you have nutrition. And so we want to know what it's all about. The physiology of nutrition. Nutrients involve various chemical and physiological activities, right? Nutrition does, which transforms food elements into body elements. And in simple, it's saying that when you put stuff in your mouth, it's one thing. It looks like this one thing, but when you put it in your mouth, it breaks down into other things. And those components that I said that I wanted you to visualize, they start breaking down into that. So if you're putting the right things in your body, the right deliveries are going to be made to those that need those working parts. And so you think about a factory, and they have these wheel things. I think of the rivets and all of these things that's turning, and say that one of them is not working so well and they need a new one. And the only way to get it is to eat the right kinds of food, because it's going to take that thing that that body really needs. But if you're not eating that and you're eating junk, it's going to deliver the wrong thing, and they're going to get that and like, what is this? You know, it doesn't fit on here right. And it may try to force that, and it's just going to make the body not work properly. The nutrition is one of the God-given elements that influences the body's ability to reach its intended potential for growth. Your body can't grow the way it's intended to. Reproduction, longevity, mental and physical fortitude, and spiritual development. One thing with food, people don't think about their mental fortitude a lot of times. We think about physical, and sometimes we don't even think about the spiritual. I think we mostly think about the physical, but it does all of that. Food is made up of micronutrients, including proteins, carbohydrates, and fat, that not only offer calories to fuel the body and give it energy, but it plays a specific role in maintaining the health. So there are things in our bodies, not just these components, but also hormones that the body uses and works. And so if your body is not functioning and you're not feeding it the things that it needs to do, those hormones are not going to be released when they're supposed to be released, in the amount that they need to be released. The energy that we have, we're not going to have that. So you think about the immune system. So the immune system was made to work a particular way, and it fights a difference. So when they get their packages, think about military too. They like when you send packages to the military, they're just happy, right? Those guys that are in a foreign land and they're getting packages for their family, and it's something that they really need and it feels good, it's going to energize them. That's the same thing that happens with our white blood cells in our bodies. When you're feeding them right things, they're getting these packages to fuel them and to get them. But when you're feeding your body junk, it's like they're not getting a package at all. And after a while, they get sluggish and they're not reacting the way they're supposed to be reacting. These white blood cells, they work in a particular way. You have neutrophils, they come, you have things that act on, say, when something comes to your body and your body doesn't know what it is, it has a particular group of white blood cells that go to work. But then it has another group of white blood cells to say, hey, this thing has been here before. We know how to fight it. And so they activate and they work a certain way. But when you're not feeding the nutrients that your body needs, they're not getting the cues that they need. So the other ones, when they say, hey, something is coming into the body that's not supposed to be here, it's like your white blood cells are like turning over and like, don't wake me up, you know, I'm sleeping. I mean, 5 more minutes, you know? It's like causing 5 more minutes could end up death for you, or cold or fever or all these things when your cells aren't responding. And so the nutrients of your body make sure that your cells respond in the right way. The ones that responds, the cells in your body that respond to things that they already know, they start not knowing anymore. Like, say that there's a particular cancer that came through your body, and your body created those white blood cells or T cells or what they're called to fight that and know how to fight that. Well, then if you're not feeding your body the nutrients it needs, it starts not knowing and being familiar with, hey, we know how to fight this thing. It's like, what? You say, what is there? Oh, we're not familiar with that, because they have certain chemicals that make them familiar. And so your body is then not able to work. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which it is fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be meat. So God has told us what he's given us for our bodies to work properly, right? He's given us trees with fruit. He's given us herbs. He's given us roots and green leafy vegetables, right? All of these things, because all of them contain the nutrients that make our bodies work the way they're supposed to work. We need specific nutrients, It helps not only with that, but it helps us to maintain our body weight. When you start taking in extra fats and sugars and all, you gain weight. Have y'all noticed that? If you're eating sugary, sweets or breads or even meat, meat has a level of fat that the green leafy vegetables don't have, that fruits don't have, all of these different things. But I'm going to tell you something in a minute too that meat does to you that you may not know. But it helps, eating the nutrients that God says, it helps reduce the risk of chronic diseases. It strengthens the mental and physical faculties rather. What difference does my diet make? Good nutrition is the foundation of a healthy body. If you're building your body on junk and you're eating sweets and candies and meat and fat and dairy and all of these things, you're building a slippery foundation. And I can say slippery because what is it made of? A lot of slippery fat, right? All these different things. Poor nutrition can cause disease. Did you know that poor nutrition can cause depression and just diminish your overall sense of well-being? I had to start learning that, and I started changing my diet, and my mood and all of that changes because I started eating differently. When you eat, stop and ask yourself, am I giving my body what it needs to work properly? Are those packages been delivered to the right things to make them work properly? Every time you take a bite of something, think about that. You're not just feeding your face, you're feeding every part of your body. Is a vegetarian or vegan diet the best? What do y'all think? It can be, but not necessarily. Can you have an unhealthy vegetarian or vegan? Most assuredly. Donuts are mostly vegan, vegetarian if they're not fully vegan. French fries, they're fully vegan, huh? Snickers are vegan, all of these different things. So you can eat an unhealthy diet with it being a vegetarian or a vegan. It's easy. It depends on what you're eating. Vegetarians, and what that means is that you don't eat meat if you're a vegetarian. A vegan, no meat or animal products at all, and animal rights. They believe in the rights of the animals and all of that. It's more of a political stance too, beyond just that. And so, yeah, they don't eat honey, they don't wear leather, all of these things a lot of times with vegan. So when you call yourself a vegan, be aware of this. And so you're looking at these things, you can be an unhealthy vegetarian or vegan. It doesn't make it. You can eat a bunch of oils in your diet, a lot of other things they're just not meant to be. 57% of American Adventists die from heart disease. Did y'all hear that? 57% of Seventh-day Adventists, not Americans, not just Americans, Seventh-day Adventist Americans are dying for heart disease. And most of us, I guarantee you about 50-some% of us call ourselves vegetarians. But you can't eat a junky plant-based whole food diet. It's almost impossible to eat a junky plant-based whole food because it's plant-based and whole food, which means you're taking the whole fruit or vegetable and you're eating that. And there's particular things. Most food, you take it in its natural state, your fruits and vegetables, you don't have any meat, you don't have any animal products, and no processed foods, except for, you may have some breads and things like that. But even with plant-based whole foods, if they don't do away with external oils altogether, it's very limited. And they try to get their oils from things like nuts and all of these olives and stuff, avocados that have the natural oils. You're not putting a lot of oils in your food because that oil, even the healthy oils, do you know that olive oil and coconut oil and all of these things, if you're still taking it in abundance, it can give you a heart attack? They surely can. And I didn't know that. I learned that at a presentation a few years ago, that even the healthy oils that are pulled from the foods can give you a heart attack. When and how often we eat is important too. So our bodies, God has made our bodies, and you have your heartbeat. You know, it's like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it's a rhythm. God is made of a rhythm. Our everything is not just our hearts that is a rhythm, it's everything. And so God says we should be on a schedule with our things. You should try to eat the same time of day, go to bed the same time of day. I'm jumping in a nice thing, but you need to be on a schedule with these things when you eat, because it impacts you. Don't eat more than 3 times a day. If you're trying to lose weight, 2 times a day is better. But even if you're not, twice a day is better. So they say the saying, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, and dinner like a pauper. So if you're eating like that, it's giving you time. If you're eating dinner like a pauper, where you're eating very little at dinner time, maybe some popcorn, piece of fruit or whatever, or you don't eat anything at all after 5 or 7 o'clock, that's giving your body time to rest, your digestive system time to rest and rebuild itself and to strengthen all of these things. And so when you feed it again, it's ready to receive. But if you've been feeding your body all day, it wears out. If you're eating all day, your body, it takes 3 to 4 hours for the digestive process to finish. And that's if you're not drinking in between, because if you're drinking, it stops the digestive process. And then you put something else in your mouth, it stops that digestive process and starts it all over again. But say that you're doing things properly. You eat your meal, you wait an hour or so before you drink anything. That's giving your body time. So 3 to 4 hours to finish. The body likes an hour at least to rest, just the stomach to rest. And so you let your stomach rest, and then like on the 5th hour after that, you eat something again. And that's going to make your body be stronger and use the nutrients more effectively. Don't snack in between your meals. Give your body at least 3 hours of digestion before going to bed. Eating before you go to bed is one of the worst things that you can do to your body. I mean, you're going there and you're going to sleep, and the digestion has slowed down a lot. So that stuff is putrefying, sitting in there 6 to 8 hours while you're sleeping. It's just not good. And then you wake up tired and all of these toxins in your body. So this is going to exercise. We'll move on to exercise now, but I just want you to think. So I talked to you about the nutrition and visualizing, getting the right packages to the right place for them to operate. Exercise, it's about promoting circulation. When we think about circulation, all of this in health, every part of New Start has to do with circulation. We'll have questions after, Chris. You hold on to them. It's about circulation. If you don't use it, you're going to lose it. Increases circulation. That's the 7 benefits of exercising. That it increases circulation, it strengthens your immune system, it improves your mood if you go out and walk or anything. And so to tie exercise with nutrition, they have the things that they call digestive walks. So after you eat, don't just sit down and chill, and because that's what you want to do. Your body needs some help. And so if you get out and walk, it gets those digestive juices going and helps it work better. It gets the circulation, all those cells in your body that need to do the work that they need to do. They're getting those packages faster when you exercise. Did you know that? Because you're speeding up the blood through your system, through the body when you go out and exercise. And so your white blood cells are able to be more effective when the wrong thing comes knocking at the door and you've been exercising and getting that. It acts quickly. It's not like, oh, let me sleep another 5 minutes. It's like, who's at the door? What? And it's right on there. And so this is what exercise does for you. It boosts your energy. It promotes better sleep. You ever take kids out and they play all day and you know that they're going to sleep well that night because they've extended. We don't do that as adults. We'll go to work and then we're tired from working and then we come home and then we just lounge. But no, we need to get out and walk, ride a bike, pull some roller skates, something to get with it and start doing good. It rids the body of waste, and that's very important. Again, circulation is making your body work quicker again, and it's kicking out the toxins. It's working to do, it's just putting all of this garbage that shouldn't be there. It's helping to get out of your body faster through the waste in your digestive system, but also through sweating. All of the toxins and things are coming through that. And exercise can be fun. You don't have to be just tedious, like, oh, I hate lifting weights, you know. I hate going out running and whatnot. Walking is an enjoyable thing, especially living in these mountains. It's a beautiful place. There's so many places that you can go and walk and enjoy. And then you can try to make it fun. A few years ago, I wanted to make my exercising fun. So I went and bought a hula hoop. And I would have my hula hoop and, you know, put it on and just hula hoop for as long as I could. Or they remember this thing that they call a skip it. You put around your ankle and you kick it out and it's a ball and you jump and skip. That's another. But I don't know if you guys have heard of Barbara O'Neill. She talks about a thing that's bounding. Is that what she calls it? Rebounding. Rebounding, that's an excellent. You get a little trampoline. Do y'all remember jumping on trampolines when you were a kid? We could do that for hours, not knowing God meant that to help the body. Do you remember jumping on your beds when you were a little kid? That's the same kind of concept. That is one of the most healthy things that you can do for your body is rebounding. Mark and I were out of town this week and I didn't have a trampoline and any of that stuff. You know what I did? I got in my bed, in that hotel bed, and I jumped in the bed. I did. I was like, you know, we knew it as kids, and it had a foundation. I made sure it wouldn't break down, but I jumped in that bed for like a minute. I rested, and I got back, and I jumped in that bed for another minute. And so those things bring natural health and healing to your body and the circulation. So exercise helps, again, like I said, to increase circulation. Good circulation helps strengthen blood cells that fight disease, right? I just said that. Exercise helps these killer cells to get the affected areas quickly. So if, say, you have a sore throat, and if you've been laying down all day, you know, it's not going to do that. What do we do with sick people? When my sister-in-law, we went to her house, you know, they had her in the room, all the windows were closed, you know, it's all dark, the shades were closed. She's been laying in the bed for several days. There's no circulation getting to fight that cancer. If she's eating good nutrition, it's not getting to her body quickly. We're like, you need to get up. Let's get you up and get you out and just let's walk up the street a little bit, let you get some sun and all of these different things. That's what exercise does for you, and it helps your immune system, and it helps rid the body of toxins again. So the next thing that we have is water. Oh, did I give you an image for exercise? Exercise is the highway. I'll talk about that. So when those packages need to be delivered, you want them on a highway that's clear, right? You don't want them on a highway that has a traffic jam. And when we're laying down and not moving, it's like we make traffic jam on there, and the nutrients are not getting to our body as quickly as it needs to. So we get up and we exercise so we don't have that traffic jam. Water, it's about washing and lubricating your body. And so water, when you want to think about water as the expressway. So have you ever been on the highway and then you see the other special lane over here that's just zooming by? Like what? How did they get over there and we're blocked over here? Water provides that for your body. It provides that for your blood. It's like an expressway that just opens up and stops all that traffic from building up. So when you drink the water, it increases, very good, Mika, she's drinking water. when it increases and improves your circulation because it's putting H2O in the system. And so it's lubricating the blood cells in there. It's creating more fluid in the blood. And so it's just making things move faster. But then also those packages that need to be delivered, it's just like it's on a glide. It's getting there quicker when you're lubricating your body. Recommended water intake is based on a variety of factors. So what are some of the factors that they say to tell how much water? Who says how much water you're supposed to drink? Who's heard 8 glasses a day? 8 glasses a day, they say it's about the standard. You drink 8 glasses a day. But you have people that may exercise a lot, in which we should be doing. You're probably going to need more than 8 glasses a day, depending on your size. And so one of the things that you can do to say, how much water does my body need a day? Say if you're not doing anything else, but you're sedentary, which you guys are not going to do that, right? You're going to get up and move. But say that you're not doing anything. The amount of water that you need a day, take how much you weigh. So say that you weigh 200 pounds, just say you weigh 200 pounds. You take that and divide it by 2. So you get 100, right? That's the amount of water in ounces you should drink a day. So if you drink 100 ounces of water a day, you know, that seems like a lot, but when you break it up into things, and remember, don't do it when you eat. You drink your water in between, like an hour before or after you have a meal. But that's how much water you try to get in. And so you're seeing that you drink that. But if you exercise, you're sweating out, and so you need to increase the amount of water. This is what the Bible says. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst again. And so we praise God for the water of life that he gives it. And I'm so grateful that God has likened what we get from him unto water, because then we realize how important it is, right? God cleanses us. He takes away our thirsts and hungers, right? These are things that the body does. A lot of times they say when you're feeling hungry, you're not hungry, you're thirsty. So try that sometimes. If you know you've eaten already and it's been an hour or so or 2 hours after you've eaten and you're like, oh, I'm feeling hungry again, get a glass of water. Warm water, not cold, you know, just a temperature, regular temperature, because it depends. Cold water, it takes longer to go into the body, to diffuse into the body. But drink some water next time that you're feeling hungry when you know it hasn't been long enough for you to eat again. So 7 benefits of water. It provides a free-flowing environment for nutrients and protects the cells. It improves your mood. It helps headaches and migraines. Did you know that? I used to suffer from migraines just terribly. For years, literally, I would get just debilitating migraines and I couldn't do anything. And so somebody told us one time, we went out and we went to a health talk, and Mark was having problems with his knees and all. And he would ask the guy, you know, I'm having this problem with my knees. And one of the guys like, well, how much water do you drink? Like, what? You know, what does that have to do anything? He's like, drink more water. It should help your knees. And then Mark would go another, I'm having this. And it was like, well, how much water do you drink? You would be surprised that most every problem that you have can be tied back to dehydration. So headaches and migraines, check how much water you're drinking. And if it's just at the limit or below, up your water intake. I don't get migraines anymore. Rarely I get headaches every now and then, but then I realize, when did I have enough water? So drinking enough water can affect your quality of life. It aids in digestion and constipation. So if you're constipated, it helps move things along. It boosts your immune system because it's activating those blood cells, and then it flushes out toxins, and it improves your brain function, because your brain, a large percentage of your brain is fluid, is water. And so if your body is not hydrated, your brain is not going to be able to function properly. You're not going to be able to think as quickly. So I believe that's it for me. We're going to have one more. I'm sorry. Let the sun shine in, for the Lord God is a sun and a shield. And so when you think about the sun, you think about energy, right? That it gives you. And so when I want you to think in these images that I've given you, the sun is your fuel for all of those things. This vehicle that you're going in, that's taking those packages through the highway that it's going through, but then through the quick one, if you're drinking enough water. Well, if you don't have a lot of fuel, you're not going to get there quickly. So you get that fuel from your nutrients, but you also get it from the sun. The sun energizes the body to fight diseases. It energizes your white blood cells. D3 does all of that. And it's good. I mean, yeah, you can get D3 in supplements, but it's more important to get it from the outside sun. To sun or not to sun, you hear oftentimes that you can get cancer if you go out in the sun too much, and you most definitely can, and it's deadly. But if you're wise in your sun intake, you'll be safe. But do you know that for those that don't get cancer, I don't want to mess this up. There's some research about the sun and not getting enough sun and what that does to your body. Let's see. I'm sorry. Here it is. So according to a June study that was done in 2007, not getting enough direct sunlight increases our chances of cancer by at least 70%. So it's not just skin cancer, it's all other cancers that you get increased by 70% if you're not getting enough sunlight, because your body is not able to fight the diseases that they need to fight because you're not getting the D3 and it's not activating and doing all they can. So yes, be very careful about going out in the sun too much, but you want to make sure that you do get some sunlight. So I'm going to give you some quick tips, and I'm going to end here. Going out into sun, you need to know the earlier the time, what I've been told is like when your shadow is shortest. So it's like earlier in the day, that's some of the best time. And then based on your skin tone, you know how much. For fairer skinned people, 15 minutes is like enough in the sun. But if you have darker skin, it can go up to 45 minutes to 2 hours of sun a day that we need, because it's just not, we have the melatonin that makes it difficult for it to activate, melanin rather, the melanin to make, our bodies active. So you need more sun. Also, you need to know that the thing that creates the D3 or helps the sun create the D3 is cholesterol on our skin, right? So if you go and take a bath or a shower in the morning before you go out, you're washing that cholesterol off. And it will take up to 2 hours for it to rebuild to do any good. So if you wash that off and go into the sun, you're not getting the D3 for those 2 hours because you washed the cholesterol off that do that. So make sure, take your bath before you go. So one of my friends I was telling her, she's like, I cannot go around stinky like that and walking and doing that. And it was like, take your bath at night, and then get in the morning and go out and do your walk, and then shower or do whatever else after that. But wait 2 hours before you shower, because it takes a while, up to 2 hours, for the cholesterol to activate and to do all and turn into D3. So it takes a while for this process to go. According to a research study, I didn't realize that. Here's why I was saying about the 70% that you can get cancer, because our bodies need natural sunlight to synthesize adequate amounts of vitamin D, in order to keep the bones strong and healthy, as well as support the immune system. That's another thing. Sun helps you have strong bones, and you're likely to get other issues. It's beneficial in so many ways. On a physical level, it enhances your mood. It treats seasonal depression. It relieves stress, improves your sleep. Sun does that, not just exercise. Sun does that. Energizes the cell's responsiveness for immunity, and the blue light from the sun makes T cells faster, and it helps the body produce vitamin D. And that's it. The nice will have a rest of us.
Okay. Thank you, Terry. Okay. So I'm going to be talking about the last 4 health laws, starting with temperance. And before I continue, I want to share this quote from Councils on Health, page 38. It says, "A practical knowledge of the science of human life, which is physiology, is necessary in order to glorify God in our bodies." So I know we started with that, talking about why are we going through these health laws, and why we want to give you a better understanding of physiology is because we need to understand the way our bodies work so that we can glorify God. A lot of times we hear the health laws and we hear the do's and don'ts, but we don't understand the science of all what's happening behind it. So what is temperance? It's one of the fruits of the Spirit, right? True temperance teaches us to dispense entirely with everything hurtful and to use judiciously that which is healthful. That's Patriarchs and Prophets, page 562. So that's what temperance is, not partaking of anything that is hurtful. And how does this affect us spiritually? We're told there are few who realize, as they should, how much their habits of diet have to do with their health, character, usefulness in this world, and their eternal destiny. The appetite should ever be in subjection to the moral and intellectual powers. The body should be servant to the mind and not the mind to the body. So this is not just for diet, it's for many different things. Overworking ourselves, getting angry. Temperance is self-control, having that self-control to really trust in the Lord. So how does it affect us spiritually as well? God requires that his people living in these last days overcome every hurtful practice, presenting their bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto him, that they may win a seat at his right hand. It is our duty to take ourselves in hand and strive to bring our minds, our wills, our tastes into conformity with the requirements of our Creator. And praise the Lord, his grace alone can enable us to do this. God does not leave us alone to do this, to take ourselves in hand. And it's like when you're exercising, you say, oh, I was actually just training someone last week, and I said, okay, we're gonna keep running. We're going running all the way back this time. And she said, okay, I'm gonna go. And she said, I'm gonna run to the bench. I said, no, we're running past the bench. We're going all the way. You can do this, you can do it. And it's that mind over body. She did it. And at the end, she felt excellent. We were praising the Lord because we have to train ourselves that our bodies do not control us. We have the power in our minds to control our bodies, minds over matter. Okay, so how does it affect our body? I'm gonna take a risk here because I know our internet hasn't been that great, but I want us to understand a little bit of physiology before we continue with some principles that we're gonna talk about. So what I have here is a really short video of how white blood cells work in the body. So this big little mass that you see there, it's a type of white blood cell called a macrophage, okay? And it's chasing those little dots is the bacteria. See? Okay. So here you see the macrophage, the white blood cell. It's chasing the bacteria and it's going after it. Yes. And it's going, it's going. Oh, it's getting away, but he's going to get it. And there he goes. He engulfs it, he surrounds it, and he absorbs it. It's called phagocytosis. It eats it. Okay? And then, so that's what white blood cells do in our bodies. They chase the bacteria. There's a chemical release where they actually sense it, they smell it, and they go after it and engulf it. Okay? And then this is just a picture of some other types of white blood cells. And then something else that I want to touch on here is the brain and what happens in our brain. Mental functions, eye movement, voluntary muscles, muscle sensation, memory, learning, sight, hearing, motor functions. Pretty much everything starts right there in the brain, right? I want to talk about something today that you're going to hear. It's called brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And what exactly is this? Also known as BDNF. It's a protein that's in our brain that acts as a fertilizer. So think of it like a fertilizer in a brain, like Miracle-Gro, right? To the synapses. So what are synapses? Synapses are microscopic points of communication between nerve cells. So pretty much what BDNF does is it helps our brain cells to communicate with one another to perform the functions that our body needs to be performed. Okay? It protects our brain cells. It helps to regenerate brain cells. When we have enough BDNF, it helps us to learn better, to have clearer memories, better memories, helps with depression, mood regulation. And the good news is, why should you care about this? Is because you are in control of your BDNF levels. Okay, there's things that we can do, like we're going to share today, that will help to increase that BDNF or decrease it. So do you want to have high BDNF or low? Do you want to have more of this protein in your brain to help your brain cells communicate better, or do you want less? We want more, absolutely. Okay, so here are some diseases, very common: cognitive impairment, obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, dementia, and depression. These have all been linked to low BDNF, okay? So what are some things we need to think about when we talk about temperance? First, we're going to talk about alcohol. When we partake of alcohol, every type of immune cell in our body becomes lazy. And that's not hard to believe. Just 2 drinks of alcohol and antibody defenses start operating at less than 1/3 of their normal efficiency. It impairs your frontal lobe, higher risk of stroke, cardiovascular, high blood pressure, and of course it lowers your BDNF. Smoking interferes also with white blood cells performing the way they need to. It inhibits the killing of bacteria, as we saw in the video. It activates your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight. So when you're in a situation and your stress levels go all the way up and you're feeling tense, and that's your fight or flight, your sympathetic nervous system. You're not calm and relaxed. It also leads to uncontrollable high blood pressure, and this also applies for marijuana and e-cigarettes. And of course, it lowers your BDNF. Caffeine, let's talk about caffeine. Caffeine reduces the ability for your T lymphocytes, which is a type of white blood cell, to fight viral invaders. It suppresses your immune system, disrupts the production of melatonin, which is a very powerful antioxidant, which we'll talk about in a little while. It activates your sympathetic nervous system. Again, not hard to believe. Caffeine is designed to make you feel like you're on the up and up. It damages your frontal lobe. It blocks BDNF, so it impairs your memory, your learning, and reduces GABA, which GABA is a chemical in your brain that helps with self-control. So once you don't have the GABA and you start drinking caffeine, you're more inclined to do other things as well, because your self-control that God has put in your brain, in our brains, is actually reduced and inhibited by the caffeine. Also leads to slow response time and increases irritability and anger. What about flesh foods? Okay, we're told in Ministry of Healing, page 313, people are continually eating flesh that is filled with tuberculosis and cancerous germs. Tuberculosis, cancer, and other fatal diseases are thus communicated by eating meat, she says. Well, here we are over 100 years later. Has this been substantiated? Absolutely, it has. In 2019, there was a study published by the National Institute of Health that said middle-aged men and women with high animal protein intakes had a 75% increase in overall mortality and a 4-fold increase in the risk of dying specifically from cancer. It is comparable to smoking cigarettes. Okay? We're told that there is no safety in eating the flesh of dead animals, and in a short time, the milk of cows will also be excluded from the diet of God's commandment-keeping people. So we're talking about temperance and discarding of everything that is hurtful, not eating it moderately, discarding completely. This is a diagram of a study done in 2018. It was a global church member survey in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And the light green are the vegans. So only 5% of Seventh-day Adventists are vegan, consider themselves vegan, means they do not eat meat at all. 14% are vegetarian, okay? And the rest eat meat at least once a week. 19% only of Seventh-day Adventists are vegetarian. That means 81% of Adventists, Seventh-day Adventists living in 2018 are still partaking of meat. That's a sad statistic, my friends. Animal products have saturated fat and cholesterol that leads to clogged brain arteries. So of course, it lowers your BDNF. Why is that important? That it depresses the activity of the frontal lobe. Because as we talked about in our first segment, God wants us to be ready for his soon coming. When we are partaking of foods that he has said not to partake in, it's for a reason. It's because it's hindering our ability to hear his voice and to know everything that the Lord would have us know, that we would be ready. Animal products promote undesirable clotting, which leads to things like strokes and cardiovascular disease, promotes inflammation, which pretty much every common disease in the United States is caused by inflammation, stimulates unhealthy growth of cells and suppresses the immune system. What about overeating? Sometimes this gets overlooked. Overeating in a diet high in saturated fat and sugar decreases the brain-derived nerve growth factor, which we talked about. Obesity compromises the white blood cells and they can't fight bacteria as well. Impairs memory, and this also includes snacking, as Terry mentioned. There's no such thing as good snacking. It's not, oh, okay, I'm gonna eat an apple. Snacking, just plain and simple, means anything in between meals. Even Sister White says not even a peanut, because once you put a peanut, something that small, into your body, then the digestive process starts all over again, and your body is not able to focus on anything else as efficiently. So what does temperance look like? Not eating or partaking of anything harmful to the body. It doesn't only include food, but also overworking, overstudying, overdoing pretty much anything, having self-control. Air. We're going to talk about air. And we're talking about fresh air outside. Inside air is different from outside air. What does fresh air do for our bodies? It helps our oxygen to be delivered to the brain so that we can think more clear, and friendly air ions improve the cleansing action of the cilia. So a cilia, I have a picture here of what a cilia is. So what cilia is are like little tiny hair projections along the lungs. And what it does is think of it like a little grass just blowing in the wind. So when you take in the fresh air, it helps to move the bacteria along. So if you have a cold or any kind of germs coming in, it helps to move those germs along so that you don't get sick. So some recommendations for fresh air. Watch out for closed windows. Sometimes we stay home all day with the window shut. It's not good for our brains, not good for our bodies. And excellent pure air is not an aesthetic luxury, but it's a physiologic necessity. Excellent living requires deep breathing of excellent air. So when we take our lunch break, it looks like the rain stopped. Don't forget to get outside and get some deep breaths in. And we're going to talk about rest, sleep. So what is good sleep? Yeah, so studies show that adults need more than 6 hours of sleep and less than 9. So too little sleep is bad, as well as too much is also dangerous. So during deep slow wave sleep, growth hormone is released from the pituitary gland, and that hormone helps to prime and increase the ability for our body to kill harmful bacteria. So oftentimes you hear cancer patients and the first thing they get asked is, how's your sleep? And they're up burning the midnight oil. And so that explains a whole lot, because when we don't get the proper sleep before midnight, then our body's not able to properly function. We're told, Manuscript Releases, Volume 7, page 224. I know from the testimonies given me that sleep is worth far more before than after midnight. 2 hours good sleep before 12 o'clock is worth more than 4 hours after 12 o'clock. So it's best to go to bed early. And if we need to get something done, to wake up early instead of going to sleep late and waking up late. And why is that? Well, because there's a powerful antioxidant in our body, in our brain, produced in the pineal gland called melatonin. And like I said, it's a powerful antioxidant, actually one of the most powerful antioxidants. So what does that mean? What does it do? What is an antioxidant? Thank you. It fights free radicals. And what do free radicals lead to? Sickness, disease, cancer, right? So we want melatonin. That's why when you ask cancer patients, because the free radicals leads to cancer many times. And melatonin peaks between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. So when the prophet told us hours before midnight are best, here it is, proven. So good sleep before midnight is always better. One thing we don't want to skimp on is sleep. What else does melatonin help with? It lowers inflammation, boosts the growth hormone. It repairs the body. And like I said, it's a powerful antioxidant. And of course, we can't forget the Sabbath. Talking about rest. God gave us one day out of the 7 to rest. Rest in him, rest with him, right? The Sabbath is a gift from God. And then finally, we're going to talk about trust. Trust in the Lord. So when we think about trusting in God, I want us to stop and picture someone that we really trust in, someone we really trust. And how do you feel when you're around that person? What does trust look like? You feel secure, security. You feel peace. What else? Comfortable. So when you trust, safe. Thank you. Think of someone you trust. How do you feel when you're with them? Loved. Happy. Terry's not allowed to say anymore. Someone else. How do you feel? I don't see stress up here. Do we feel stressed out when we're with someone we trust? Not at all. Not at all. Relaxed. And God has told us, what does he say? To trust in him. Perfect peace have they whose mind is stayed on thee. Right? Research has actually proven this and shown that spirituality, when we have this trust in God, it helps to control stress, it strengthens the immune system, protects against heart disease and cancer. While on the other hand, worry, stress, and depression bring decay, disease, and death. Proverbs 17:22 says, a merry heart does good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. What happens in the bones? Physiologically, what is made there? Blood cells, right? Red blood cells are made in the bones. So our attitude, our stress, or our trust or lack thereof really does affect our bodies and our bones and our blood cells and can lead to disease. People of faith are calmer, happier, and live longer than those who do not trust in God. Why is this? Let's talk a little physiology about trusting in God. So this is a picture of something called telomeres. And what they are is think of it like the little plastic on the end of a shoestring that keeps the shoestring together. So that's what telomeres are. They're at the end of chromosomes. They help keep the chromosomes in place so that things don't deteriorate and you don't start aging quicker than you need to, okay? So the longer the telomere is, the better in terms of aging and disease. Now, stress has been found to shorten the telomeres. So it's like it starts to unravel the chromosome. And what does that lead to? Disease, dementia, and even mortality. Cancer, heart disease as well. And that's by stress. What about this? What is this a picture of? Does anyone know? It's a blood clot. Okay. So acute stress and mental depression have been linked to an increase in platelets sticking together. And of course, that leads to increase in cardiovascular disease. Okay. Have you ever felt like this lady here? With this little cartoon? Stressed. So stress, anger, sadness, and depression reduces the ability of white blood cells to capture and defend against germs. And this is even perceived stress. So if you have a terrible fear of snakes and you're walking in the woods and you see a long stick and you think it's a snake and you jump up, even that perceived stress has a negative reaction, negative effect in your body, okay? And it can lead to pro-inflammatory conditions And also, chronic stress alters the effectiveness of your cortisol to protect against the inflammatory conditions in your body. So, what shall we do? Shall we follow the word? Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Proverbs 3:5. So, Terry will close out for us.
Yes.
Right now at the end.
Yeah, we're getting ready. So to summarize all of this, uh-huh. To summarize this is that all of this is interconnected. When you think about the 10 commandments, God says if you break one, you break them all, right? The same thing goes on with this physical law. If you break one, it's like you break them all. And it's not to say that it's difficult to keep them, because people will say, see, you can't keep the law because if you break one, you break all. No, God is saying they're interconnected. And when you break one, it leads to deterioration in your life in other ones. So say that with these moral laws, if you break the law of not getting enough sleep, but you're getting exercise, you're getting water, you know, you're getting nutrition and all of these things. But if you're not getting enough sleep, as a nice, so well, wonderfully explained, that chemicals are not being produced that's going to fight disease. And so if you're not getting enough sleep, you're more likely to get disease. You're more likely to get cancer. Even if you're doing all of the other health laws, if you're breaking one, if you're not getting enough water, you're likely that you're going to get disease because you're breaking that one. You can do all the others, but because the highway or the superhighway path is not open to make your immune system do what it needs to do, you're not going to get enough. I'm going to slip this in really quick because I forgot. I said I was going to tell you guys this about meat. One thing with meat eating that you may not know, because we're always talking about fat, and that fat clogs the arteries, right? So you have fat clogs the arteries. And so people think because of that fat clog in the arteries, that's what causes the heart attacks, because the blood is not able to go through quickly, right? Because it's narrowed. The scary thing is that that's not the only thing that happens. And this only happens with fat from animals. The cholesterol from the fat of the animal pushes through the arteries themselves, through the vessels themselves. And so this artery that you had that was clogged up and the blood would push through, it was able to maybe expand to let the blood go. But when the cholesterol pushes through the artery walls, they harden. So then they're no longer able to expand to accommodate the blood going through. So not only are they clogged inside, they're hardened to not open up. So the likelihood of the blood going through, you're going to have a heart attack. And this is only with animal fat that does this, that kind of fat that does that. So I wanted to share that. So they're all interconnected and related in that way. Is this the last one? How can you do better? SWOT. Have y'all heard of a SWOT analysis? To do a SWOT analysis, assess yourself in your new start. So look at what your strengths are. What are you doing well? You drinking enough water? Are you exercising? Then look at your weaknesses. Well, I'm not sleeping enough. You know, I don't sleep enough, or, you know, I'm not temperate. I really love sugar and, you know, those things. So look at what's then. So then you look at the opportunities that you have to do better and then work to do better. And then you look at the threats that's making you not do well. So are you working a whole lot of hours and then you're not sleeping because you're trying to make up, or you're studying, or you're Maybe you're exercising too much. What are the threats that's making you not be able to do a SWOT analysis? That's what SWOT stands for: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Take hold of your new start today: nutrition, exercise, water, sun, temperance, air, and rest. And trust in God. And that's it. We'll take questions. Let me go back. Chris, you had a question? Okay, sorry. Maybe we'll take it off so people can see. You had a question, Chris? Okay.
Now, I've heard that diet can reduce the hardening of the arteries.
Diet as what? And a
Yes.
plant-based whole food diet?
Something like that, because my one friend I'm thinking of, her legs feel like this. They're so hard. And I know it's from her circulation because she doesn't do much. But I had heard a long time ago from some speaker that hardening of the arteries can be reversed with diet.
Yes, with a plant-based whole food diet.
With
Yes.
plant-based.
That you're eating the green leafy vegetables, you're eating fruits, you're eating nuts, you're eating legumes, beans, rice, brown rice, and quinoa, and all of these things, these natural grains. It will reverse those things. Even with smoking and some of the damage that's done there, even with heart disease, it can start the day that you change your diet is the day that those things start working towards reversal. It's not overnight, but it starts happening. It didn't happen overnight.
The other one I had was, let's see here. I don't know how to pronounce or say the telomeres. How do you say that?
Telomeres.
Telomeres. I've had a problem in my life. Nobody else in my family has blood clots. I've had them in my between my brain and my skull and my lungs, very near death a lot of times. But as I understand it, the telomeres have something to do with that. Did I get that right?
With the blood clots?
Yeah, because you were going a little fast, so I couldn't write down as much as I was trying to write down, especially with
No, the telomeres have to do with your DNA and the chromosomes in your body. So we were talking about how stress and anxiety shorten the telomeres, and what that does is leads to premature aging, disease, and even death.
So what do you think is the main factor contributing to blood clots? Because the doctor doesn't know.
There are many factors that contribute to it, and you're saying the doctors don't know because the doctors oftentimes they have very little teaching and nutrition, and they don't study cause and effect. They treat the effect, not necessarily the cause. And so if you have heart disease, they're treating the clogged arteries. They're not treating what clogged those arteries. If you're having blood clots, they treat the blood clots, not what caused those blood clots. And so some of the things that contribute to blood clots is not enough water, again, because it's making the cells sticky. Animal products, meat, cheese, eggs, things with saturated fat, again, they make the cells sticky and slow moving. And so they'll stick together and clot because they're not, they're not of the texture they're supposed to be because of your diet.
Okay, and I think you told me before that animal meat causes, what was it that causes tumors to grow faster? The fat?
Yes. And and I think part of it, Corinne, were you going to say something? Or are you just asking? Yeah, that there's research. I don't know if you guys have the book, The China Study, and it talks about that and the amount of fat intake, and then also the pH of the body and the likelihood of tumors growing. And so meat consumption, I can't think of lowers or higher the pH, makes the pH more acidic.
So meat eating makes the pH more, lowers the pH, and it makes the blood more acidic, which tumors and cancers thrive off of this. And so when you have a plant-based whole food diet, it makes your blood more alkaline, and tumors and disease don't thrive in that environment.
And when you're talking about the cholesterol on your skin, that kind of got me really confused. I mean, how does that happen? And what is that, a good thing or a bad thing?
It's a good thing. It's a natural occurrence that God has made it, that the cholesterol but it's good cholesterol. We have HDL and LDL.
Right.
HDL is the bad cholesterol and the LDL is the good one.
Our bodies naturally produce cholesterol. So
Yeah.
every time we eat animal products, our bodies naturally produce cholesterol, and every time we eat animal products, we only find cholesterol in animal products. So, right, the bad cholesterol. Our bodies don't need additional cholesterol. So that's why when you have too much cholesterol, it increases all the likelihood of diseases and inflammation.
So,
Right.
oh,
Mhm.
okay. And you said it takes 2 hours to wash off the cholesterol?
You wash off the cholesterol instantly when you're showering. So you're showering and you're washing your body. It's like the oils. And so you're washing off the cholesterol. It takes 2 hours for that cholesterol to replenish on your skin.
I think we were talking about sunlight
Yes.
and the vitamin D3.
Yes.
And what does that have to do with the cholesterol?
So the cholesterol is on your skin. And when the sun touches your skin, it transforms that cholesterol into the vitamin D.
Oh.
Yes. And so if you wash off that cholesterol, then you're washing off the potential for it to create the vitamin D. And it takes 2 hours for that to replenish, to fully remake itself on your skin.
So it takes 2 hours to make the cholesterol convert to vitamin D3?
No. Well, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. Once it takes approximately 2 hours. So that's what we're saying. Once you go out in the sun, wait at least 2 hours before showering for that process to complete itself. Yes.
And then the other big thing was you're not supposed to drink water or whatever when you're eating your meal.
No. So, if your throat is dry a little sip is not going to hurt. But if you're drinking, you're diluting your digestive juices. And so it takes a certain amount of the acids to break down the foods. But so you think about acid or whatever, when you pour water in it, it's weakening it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not able to do and break down it. And so it takes a while to work to get that water out of there and for it to get back, the acids to get back to the levels that they need to be to break down the food. And so if you're constantly doing that, your food can be in your stomach for not just hours, but days undigested.
Days?
And that creates toxins. Because every time you're doing that and every time you put something in your mouth after you've eaten, it starts the digestive process over. But
so how long, like say before you have a meal, is it okay to drink water?
Yes, but half an hour. Yeah, I've heard half an hour to an hour to wait, but
okay. And then afterwards would be 2 hours?
I've heard again half an hour to 2 hours to wait. Because still you don't want to the digestive part has only started, and then 30 minutes later you're drowning your digestive juices with that, you want to wait and
Everybody
drink.
seems like they drink something when they
I used to drink when we first became Adventists. It was a very difficult thing for me to stop drinking with my meals, but it takes practice. But it's hard because you're already dehydrated before you start eating. Yeah, that's a very good point. What Tamika is saying, that the foods that we eat should have water in them. So if you're eating a plant-based diet, many of those foods have water in them. So if you're eating green leafy vegetables, if you're eating fruits and all of these things, they're full of water. And so the need to drink while you're eating will be lessened. But if you're hydrating, in between meals too, and you're not dehydrated, you're less likely to be so thirsty when you're eating. And with salt intake also will cause thirst if your food is highly salted. Any other questions
I think I'm done.
from
That was a
others?
lot, I'm sorry.
He was talking about digestion. There was a little girl many years ago. She was telling her story. She said when she was little that her mama had her churning the milk to make butter. And it would take like an hour to an hour and a half to make the butter. Well, she would eat during this time and sneak food in when mama wasn't looking, or thought mama wasn't looking. And so one day mama decided, instead of saying anything, to give her a good example. And what she done was she took, every time the little girl would put something in her mouth, she'd take a cup full of milk and dump it into the butter she's churning. And she churned for hours and hours and hours. And the butter wouldn't make because each time she took a bite, mama was adding more milk to the container. And she'd come to the realization after her and mama talked later that that milk the new milk has to catch up with the old milk before it can continue to make butter. And it's the same way with the stomach.
That is excellent. That is an excellent imagery that it starts over again. Lydia?
I misstated earlier. I made an incorrect statement. I said that Snickers were vegan.
Mm-hmm.
I had Snickers on my brain for some reason. Snickers are not vegan.
They have milk in them.
Yes,
Yeah.
but Skittles.
Yeah,
Skittles is
Skittles
what,
are-
yes,
Mm.
Skittles are vegan.
Vegan, yes. Any other questions?
So Skittles will better for you than Snickers.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. One thing that I wanted to share, and there is a study also with what is that D? What is the chemical D in F? What is the one that you talked about in the study that if it's high, it's good. If it's low, it's bad. BD and F. I had a study on mine I forgot to mention as far as sugar, that the study, they had a study on sugar, and that it not only led to depression, but schizophrenia. So are you likely to become schizophrenic by eating too much sugar? Probably not. But you are probably likely to have other emotional, mental, psychological issues if you're eating a lot of sugar, because the BDNF is very low. The more sugar you eat, the lower the BDNF goes, and the more issues that you're going to have, probably with depression, emotional, not able to handle issues, not able to make good decisions, because it affects all of that with the sugar. And it's been found to be linked to dementia is sugar intake. You wonder, and it's something that's like older people start loving sugar and wanting to eat that, and it's contributing to dementia and all of this. So we're over time, I know, by quite a bit. We were supposed to go to lunch, I think. Yeah, we started a half hour late. We were having some technical difficulties, but we're going to go ahead and end. And did you have a question, Ken?
I was just going to ask, give the opportunity. There will be some online that may not be able to come back.
Mhm.
Just give them an opportunity real quick to ask a question
Yes,
before we take the break.
Yes. Does anyone online have questions? Can I click on your thing? There's some, the little chat box has stuff. I don't know if questions may have been put in there.
I do have one last comment. Back about a year and a half ago, Dad had some stents put into his heart to help him get better. And there was many miracles from the time we went in to the time we come out was 3 days. That was a miracle in and of itself. The fact that we was where we was supposed to be at the right time within less than 10 minutes from the hospital was a miracle. That wasn't supposed to be. We would have been an hour and a half in the hospital if we'd been where we were supposed to have been. I'm not going to go into the details of everything other than when we walked out of there, they asked us a whole bunch of questions, and all the negative stuff of diet and drugs, alcohol, smoking, just a whole long list. It seemed like it took 2 pages worth of questions. But the very last question kind of went home to me, not just to him. Because out of all the questions, we only had one negative answer. No, I mean, could only say no to one question. And that was, how much water are you drinking? If he had been drinking the water he had supposed to be, and I'm talking to myself too, because I don't drink enough water and I don't ever find myself desirous of water. But if he'd been drinking the water he's supposed to, the clots probably would not have caused the problem.
Yeah, just the one thing, like we said, they all go together. And one thing to be clear about water is that when you drink water, you need to drink water, just water. Now, you can drink other things like I did the health nugget on lemon water. It's very good to drink lemon water, excellent for your liver. But you don't want to drink lemon water all day, because anything in your water besides water makes your liver work. So you need to still let the water flush and cleanse your liver. That's what it's intended to do, is to flush and cleanse. But if you're adding these little colorful drinks that's just giving, or you're drinking lemon water in it all day, you're still making your liver work. And it's not just flushing and cleansing. So it's good to drink. If you're going to drink your lemon water, drink it first thing in the morning, or you drink some at night, but don't drink these things all during the day. So, any other questions? Okay. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our lunch, and we'll start back up at 1:15. It's a little less than an hour, but we'll be okay. Oh, yeah, let me tell you what we're going to talk about. Thank you. What we're coming back, and we hope that you will guide. We're getting ready to move into the activity of it, and we're going to show you and teach you how to do some things that's medical missionary derived, how to help people. If somebody has pain somewhere, we're going to do hydrotherapy. We're going to teach you several different hydrotherapy techniques to help people, and we're going to show you some basic massage techniques to help people, because basic touching can do a lot. So this is what we have when we come back at 1:15, and I hope you all will join us.